BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Anything like that back where you're from?
Just before you answer that, can you move back up to where your microphone is, just up your couch?
Don't panic, the mic's not moving.
There's a little series in Robbo and Batch.
Do you know he's got pet rats? He's got one called Rat Letitia.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, I have.
We just recorded the podcast there with Andy Robertson. Absolute belter of a podcast. But we do have to warn you, there could be some bad words. Crouchy P on the MIC. We're doing this just for free.
Do you give it the sniff test?
Peter, come do the quiz.
Feel a little bit like Dirty Deb.
You and your two silly little mates.
Silly little mates, just wrap it up.
Is it weird doing one of these whilst wearing clothes?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're cruising at 2,400 feet.
Let's free the ketchup.
So much to get off my chest.
And you've always had magnificent teeth.
How bad have things got?
It's going downhill now, isn't it?
The nation will be back stronger.
Hello and welcome to another episode of That Peter Crouch podcast. With him, Peter Crouch. Tom Fordyce and Chris Stark are here as usual, and so am I, Andy Robertson. All right, lads.
Here we go.
Is Andy our first outfield player?
Yeah,
We've had as a guest as well.
Dicking around with refs and goalkeepers. Embarrassing. What have you been up to, Robbo?
I started digging in the garden the other day. I don't think my missus was too happy, but yeah, exactly, yeah. Half a job's finished now. The garden's been dug up and it's not getting fixed anytime soon. So.
What are you digging for? Are you trying to find
what
gold?
was the thinking?
What's the plan?
Started digging to clear it out and then I'll paint the fence, but yeah, it was a kind of an hour job, and then I realised it was probably a 2-week job, so it's been left in a bit of a mess just now, unfortunately.
Promising start to the pod, isn't it? For the fact you started off with some fence chat and some digging.
It's as exciting as it gets just now.
Some people are just not made for it. No. I'm not made for it. I don't think Crouchy, you are really, are you?
No, I know my limitations. I see people building stuff and, like you say, gardening and all that. It's just never been my forte at all. I never even wanted to get involved in that. I don't want to be good at stuff like that. It's like a ball ache. The kids know not to ask me. They say, "Can you call a man to do this for me?" And I say, "Let me have a look who I've got." You know, Phil Handyman.
I'm not interested in gardening. That's how bad it's got. I went on Amazon, ordered a spade and a fork, and it came within a day, and I was raging. I had to get going. So,
have you been training as a team?
We've been doing the Zoom chats. We've been doing like yoga core sessions. Then we always get left on at the end so the lads can have a bit of banter and stuff like that, and all the staff go off. So take the piss out of them a wee bit, but I suppose it's not the same.
Which of your teammates are the useless ones on Zoom?
Adam Lallana unmuted himself once, and he was breathing so heavily, and we were trying to do a core session of yoga, and Hendo ended up unmuting himself and says, shut up, will you?" He didn't know, so I'll put it down to Ads that doesn't quite know how to work it.
That's mad. So you're all doing yoga?
Yeah, so we have a yoga instructor once a week, and we all do yoga. The end bit's the best bit. You get like 3 minutes where she goes like, close your eyes and go for a wee sleep for 3 minutes. It's amazing relaxation, but the rest of I'm no good at.
What was your first impressions like? You know, when you signed for Liverpool, I know we've bypassed a bit here, but I remember myself going around Anfield and looking at the trophies and the players that have been there, the history of the club, and thinking, like, this is big.
Yeah, the day I signed, obviously we got the tour of the stadium and stuff, and that's when it really hits home. But I remember my first day, there was only like 6 or 7 of us in because the lads were still on pre-season. So a couple of lads that came back from internationals, and Danny Ings and stuff were just coming back from long-term injuries, so they stayed behind. And we had to do the lactate test or whatever that the Germans love, basically running to your maximum. I remember running alongside Danny Ings, and I was just sick everywhere. I don't know if I got halfway.
Well, physically sick.
Physically sick.
What is the test?
So you need to, they set up poles all around the pitch, and you have to make each pole on the whistle, but then it gets faster and faster and faster. And you need
so like the bleep test?
Similar, yeah, but it's a lot harder. It's a lot quicker. But 2 days, my medical took 2 days, so I didn't really eat over the 2 days. I put it down to that. I never ate in 2 days. I was tired. And Ingsy was kind of talking on the way round, and I could just feel like I knew something wasn't right. Tried to hold it in my mouth, just had to let it go, and then it was terrible. It was terrible.
Day one.
Luckily the gaffer wasn't there. I thought I got away with it. So they returned 3 days later, introduced himself, blah, blah, blah. and he called me like Mr. Sick Boy or something like that. And I was gutted.
So whose experiment was this? Whose test? This is the German, right?
Yeah, so like the sports scientists do it. We do it every first day of pre-season. So like you do certain runs and then you get your blood taken out your ear. So it basically tests your lactate and stuff like that and how far you can go. But every year I dread it.
Is it the same guy every time?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
so he sees you just at your worst every time, like blowing out your ass.
Yeah, we didn't get off to the best of starts, me and him. We've got a good relationship now. He's a great guy. He hates doing it because he knows the lads hate it. But I think the only one that loves it is Millie.
So you mentioned James Milner there. Is Millie still the same? Flying ahead at the running and stuff like that?
Like you wouldn't believe, he just takes off. He's the fittest guy I've ever met. Like, it's amazing. Because like pre-season, do you know what I mean? He needs to get the same out of us, but like we're all blown and he's just like jogging beside us thinking I need to go further. He's what, 34 now? 33, 34? Still the fittest. Amazing, still the fittest in our squad by a country mile.
He's a proper all-round sportsman, isn't he? So when he was at school, I think he was in the Yorkshire Schools cricket team.
Yeah,
he was definitely cross-country champion at his school, and I think he was like district champion at the 100 metres as well. He's just a machine.
Yeah, the guy just loves sport.
He absolutely loves it.
How was your first day at Liverpool County?
I found myself constantly trying to impress Kara and Stevie more than even the manager. You know what I mean? It was like, you are a little bit overawed by it all. You know, I'd only been at Southampton, at Portsmouth, at QPR, so I knew I'd arrived at a big club. But yeah, my first day, I remember Stevie rapping in this pass to me. I didn't miscontrol it, but it sort of bounced off a little bit. And I remember the look that Stevie gave me. I just thought, fuck, you better switch this on, you know what I mean? And it just made me sharper. And I think every single session that I was at Liverpool, it just made me sharper and sharper. And yeah, you had to learn very quickly.
I think a few of them might have been saying that about me the first 2 months.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you about that. I mean, it took you a while to get in the team, didn't it?
Yeah, it took me time. My biggest thing was, see, especially in pre-season when we done 11v11s like together and stuff, I still seen them as opponents. Like, I didn't see them as my teammates. I seen them as opponents for whatever reason. So I couldn't get I struggled to get my head around it. First, that was maybe the first week or two until I got my first game. I think we played Hertha Berlin or something in Germany, and I came on at half time and like played quite well. But then I was learning how the manager wanted me to play. But obviously when the season starts, you don't, he's got trophies to win, he's got a team to build. You can't be tiptoeing me through step by step, because obviously our game's all about high press and winning the ball back and stuff, and I was struggling making the last step. But once I started getting that and it started to click, then I believed I wasn't far off it then.
Have you seen people in that scenario sinking as well, Robbo?
I think people do sink, can't cut it or whatever, but for me, because I've maybe came from lower leagues and stuff, that I don't see it as much as people that have played at the highest level. When I done it, I got accepted straight away, especially off the English lads. Like, I had my first box or rondo or whatever people call it, and Hendo told me to fuck off as soon as I went in, because it was the two youngest players in, and I stepped in. He didn't know I was 22. He thought I was 28, so he told me to fuck off. So that was a nice start. At least I knew the skipper was on my side.
What was the moment for both of you, when you realised that you were then accepted? Is there a moment that sticks in your head, or was it just something that just happened?
When I felt like I'd really had an impact was probably the derby. I played away at Goodison and scored. I remember Stevie saying to me before the game, it was like, if you score in this game, people remember it forever. And I sort of just kicked on and scored a load after that. So that was a big moment for me, yeah.
We had Christmas party, a big Melwood Christmas party. It was after the game against Bournemouth away. I remember the gaffer came up to me and says, look, I don't want to talk football with you, but you were fucking excellent today. And that was the first, that was only probably maybe my fourth or fifth game after I'd kind of came into the first team. And that's when I thought, you know what, I'm a Liverpool player now. I kind of belong in this stage. And it just gave me the confidence to go over that Christmas period and really put in good performances. And then I just kicked on from there, really.
It's hard, though, at a Christmas party, because I'm not saying that Klopp was pissed when he told you, because I don't want to ruin your moment. But when you're in the Christmas party and you do get a bit over-friendly with the boss, it does happen. And you wake up the next day and go shit, it was just, drinks.
Whether he was pissed or not, I was taking it. I was accepting it. Whether he meant it or not, it worked.
I'm thinking of an award for best performance on the bus parade, right? It's a niche category, but surely Klopp is up there. Andy, you get a different view on things, because all we see is the videos that are on the internet, and Klopp was having the time of his life. The guy looked absolutely hammered.
I think in these things you just need to, like, we all just went out and enjoyed it. We might never experience that again. When do you get 800,000 people in the streets shouting your name, singing songs and that, and knowing like you've achieved something? We were on the bus. We ended up being on the bus for, I think it was about 5.5, 6 hours. It's obviously like an electric bus, so it can go nice and slow. And we were once the parade was over, we headed back to Melwood, and the bus ran out of battery.
That's like Mike Bassett.
Yeah, we get stuck halfway up a hill, and we all had to get off and we ended up getting another bus sent for us. It was a disaster.
Is Klopp more Klopp when he's drunk?
Yeah, he's probably even more Klopp. He says, like, anything you do 100%. Play the game 100%. We train 100%. We party 100%. So when he parties, he parties Klopp times probably 3 or 4 again.
Fans of football love Klopp, really, don't they? I mean, what an amazing personality. And it's good to hear that on nights out he's the same, because I think we all just conjure up these images just from the little bits that we get to see of him. So it's nice to hear that it actually rings true for Christmas parties and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, some managers they put on a front to the cameras and stuff like that. Like, what you see is what you get with him. What he is in front of the cameras and in press conferences, that's exactly what he's like. He doesn't change for any situation.
Is it like playing for him? Because it seems from the outside that it's just this beautiful, natural connection between him as a character and him as the city. You were there, but those of us who are watching, there's an incredible bit of footage, and it's about 6 minutes long, and it's after the final whistle in the Champions League final last year, and he's going around the pitch talking to each of you players, and he's slightly different with each of you. Like, he's got a different handshake or a different joke. I
think that's one of his biggest strengths. Like, he adapts to different situations. He knows the people that need an arm around him. He knows the people that maybe need tough love. I've seen the video as well. I don't know when him and Hendo hugged each other and they're both crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see a hand kind of waving about in there? No.
Was that yours?
Yeah, my hand gets stuck. So I ran to the skip, and I was like, Hendo, we've done it. Hugged him. But obviously the gaffer was coming from behind me, so I never seen him. And obviously it was like, and my left hand gets stuck in between them, and just my hands flopping about as they two have a big emotional hug. So I never let it down, to be fair. The lads got on it straight away, and but probably ruined that moment.
We got to talk to you about that moment, and like what were the emotions like straight away when you win a game like that?
It's something you can't really describe. Even for me, when Origi scored till the final whistle, all I was thinking about was, we've done it, we've won it. And you start thinking about everything. You start thinking about the family in the stadium that you've got with them. You start thinking about maybe loved ones you don't have and stuff. And then also that season we lost the Premier League at the last time, and all I could think about was how much the lads had deserved it. You think about Hendo, who's probably had the armband and everyone's been keeping him as, Steven Gerrard's, taken over from him, and then, he'd won a big trophy and he gets to lift it above his head. So, it's like the emotion that goes through it. It takes like a couple of days to get over. Like, I think we played the Saturday, and then it wasn't until the Monday night that just everything came out. Like, I was really emotional the Monday, and like texting all the players, texting all the staff, and that, it was nuts. But I suppose you can't really describe it. Like, you just let your body kind of go through it all.
Can you talk us through the night? So when you win it,
the lights came on at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I remember talking to Kenny Dalglish at this point, and the lights went on, and he was getting ushered away by his wife because they had a flight to catch. They had a flight to catch at 8 o'clock or something, and he wasn't for leaving. But pointless going to sleep. Some of the staff stayed up, and then obviously we got the plane back for the open top bus. So it was mad, to be fair. Like, the amount of, because you played a game, you're tired. So, your legs hurt, your back hurts, but you just forget about it, and you just, with our family there and all the friends, and that, it was an amazing night, to be fair.
That Champions League experience, it's just what every football fan dreams of.
Luckily, I've had 2 as well. So, the first experience and second experience, even before the game, like, I slept a lot better the second time. We all prepared a lot better. It's mad, like, how the game's just as big, but because you've been there and done it, just makes it easier. And I think that's why, we had the upper hand against Tottenham, because I think a few of the lads cramped up at 60, which we done against Madrid the season before, and where it's like adrenaline just builds the whole day. But we were really calm, especially the second season.
2007, we lost to Milan Champions League final, and obviously the party's a very different vibe.
We never had a party after Kiev. We flew straight back. It's a very different feeling.
When Ben Foster was on the pod last week, Andy, he was telling us about getting the famous hairdryer treatment from Sir Alex Ferguson, and it sounded terrifying. So Klopp always seems really smiley. Does he ever give the hairdryer treatment?
You know, at half time he's very calm, and then at full time he always takes a day to think about what he wants to say, and we always have a meeting the next day. So in fairness, he's not that annoyed. He more takes it out on you on the pitch, and then when you get off he's okay. It's more, you know, I'd love to have a microphone on him during the 90 minutes. That would be I think that would be an entertaining watch.
We used to have these teachers at school that were really, really good, but would piss about, and then it would feel terrible if we let them down, just because they were, you know, really decent, nice people the whole time, and then it was devastating if we ever did something to make them upset. Is that like Klopp?
He does everything for you. Do you know what I mean? He's like the father figure. He's like the manager. He's everything, and then when you maybe let him down, you don't really want to go and see him. You can't look him in the eye anymore. I've had that with a few, to be fair. Had it with Steve Bruce as well. He was maybe a wee bit more animated at times in the changing room. So, but yeah, look, you don't want to let any manager down, but when you have a good relationship with them, a personal relationship, then it gets that wee bit tougher to look them in the eye if you make a mistake.
I came up to the training ground recently to interview Klopp, and I spoke to like you and a few of the lads. Mane said to me, he said, "Oh, can I have a picture?" I said, "Yeah, no worries." He said, apparently one of his cousins or something, they call him Crouchy in his village back home. And I said to him, "Oh, I wonder what he looks like." I'm dying to know what Mane's like. He's nuts.
He's just crazy, Sadio. Like even on the pitch, like some of the conversations me and him have on the pitch, I'm like, who am I talking to here? Seriously, like, it doesn't make sense at times, especially when things aren't going too well for him. But what a guy he is. We've got a good relationship.
What's he like on the squad's WhatsApp group? We always like hearing about, you know, the lunatics. There's the sensible ones in a WhatsApp group, and there's the ones who, in any WhatsApp group, who just suddenly post something and everyone's like, "What is that video?"
to be fair, Sadio posts quite a bit in the WhatsApp. Like just now, he's just putting pictures of him doing like shooting in the garden and all that, and asking like, he asks Virgil and Genie how he thinks, like how they think he's getting on and stuff like that. Like,
so what's the kind of thing you share? Like my big thing, I gnaws these lads off. You know, the roses are red, violets are blue.
Yeah,
videos.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of them. Like firing them off everywhere. Is this the kind of thing that you get on the team WhatsApp?
Yeah, well, just now we have a WhatsApp with like all of Melwood, so the whole of Melwood in there, like just to give and stuff like that. So everyone's posting.
I hope he's not still talking.
Got to the punchline and it's silence.
Crouch has done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
So just to clarify, Andy, you've just had to leave the podcast briefly. Your poor partner, you've got young kids. She's been on her feet all day. Finally, she's got the kids down. She's watching Netflix. We've sent you in to get her off Netflix so that your chat with us can carry on without any glitches. How did that go?
Yeah, she wasn't happy. I've sent her out to the garden though to cool off.
Can you actually imagine if you'd asked me to go up to Ab, if I'd have got in there then, I think we'd have had to wrap up the podcast.
We should do this. One podcast, we should do a sort of truth or dare. It's like we obviously ask you some questions, like big questions. If not, we send you off on a little dare. We'll send you off to Abs. We just record.
We can turn over and get the reaction.
That game that you lost in Kiev and the way it was lost, which was so heartbreaking, was that essential to you winning it the next year?
Yeah, because like getting to that final and making, you know, another step under kind of the Klopp era as such. You know, so we knew we could be winners. We weren't winners at that point, but we knew we had that winning mentality to get to the final and stuff like that. So, you know, the next season we were ruthless. We went into the season, racked up an incredible tally in the Premier League and probably wins it every other year bar last. And then the Champions League just fell into place. The Barca game was nuts. And once we won that, I just believed we would win it.
It just doesn't matter if you're like a Liverpool fan. It doesn't matter if you're just a football fan. Just that you cannot help but just have got so excited about that game. It's like nothing I've ever seen before.
The two Genie goals I missed, I was in the shower getting James. Obviously, I came off at half time I was like hobbling about, I had to ice my legs and stuff, and I was watching it on the telly, but crazy at 3-0, and I was out for the last 20 minutes for the obviously fourth goal, and I never slept a wink that next day because I thought I was going to miss the final. I had a scan at like 9:30 in the morning, couldn't wait to get in it, and luckily it wasn't as bad as first feared. So
there's another amazing video from that night as well that a lot of people will have seen. The game's over, and Leo Messi is trudging off looking heartbroken. And this ball boy runs past him. Do you know the one I mean?
Yeah.
The ball boy runs past him, gives him a shout. Leo looks up, and the kid just gives him what we might call an old-fashioned finger gesture right in his face.
Some of those ball boys, mate, unreal.
It's just disrespectful, isn't it? But it's just ball boys get away with murder.
The Spurs ball boy, the video of him, I think that was last season, wasn't it? What a hero. Sports personality of the year, potentially, in my opinion.
Some of them are scandalous. What about the
Swansea
with Hazard?
And the guy's laughing and all. It gets Hazard sent off. He's in the shower. 3 ball.
Is this something we need to do for the BBC? Should we not put it out there that at the Sports Personality of the Year awards, there needs to be an award for ball boy or ball girl? Ball child, if that's a phrase. Yeah,
ball child.
But it feels like there needs to be something there for them.
Were you ever a ball boy or anything?
I was a ball boy at Chelsea, yeah,
right.
Believe it or not. They had like cars parked behind the goal and all that. It was a joke at Stamford Bridge. Like I was going underneath cars and giving the ball back to Dennis Wise.
Cratchit, were you a shithouse ball child, or were you well behaved?
No, it was all right. No, I was a shitbag. Like I remember Gareth Hall telling me to slow down because I give the ball back to him too quickly when they were winning, and then they ended up like losing, and I was still doing it slow because I was still shitting myself from Gareth Hall. And then Dennis Wise abused me again for being too slow, and I'm going, oh my God, I'm not cut out for this. Were you, Robbo, yeah?
Yeah, I was ball boy at Celtic, yeah. Scottish football's a bit different. I was getting told to fuck off left, right and centre for doing what I was doing. But yeah, I remember like 12, 13, you know, the like Champions League flag in the middle when the music comes on. We all had to wave that and stuff in the middle of the park. The big games against Barca and AC Milan at that time and stuff, like being in the middle of the park was nuts.
We discussed this on our last podcast. I don't know if you heard it, but we discussed the word shithousery. I think it's something that you've taken into your game. So I just wanted to ask you, was there some shithousery when you were a ball boy at Celtic? And how have you found that term of endearment, I think, when you're playing for Liverpool now?
There wasn't when I was ball boy, in fairness. I was probably similar to you. I was a shitbag. I just got the ball back in, done what I told, and but it's been a word that's probably been associated with me. I'm not too happy with it.
The fans sort of relate to that, don't they? And I think if they're in your position, I think they do the same. Yeah. So I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah, to some, to your own fans it maybe is, yeah. To the other fans that abuse you on social media, maybe not so much. But
what's your greatest shithouse moment, Robbo?
Well, I know it already.
Go on, Crouchy, go on.
It's got to be the little one to Messi.
Yeah, me and Fabinho were tracking him back. We both ended up on the ground, and I just ruffled his hair a wee bit, I think. So he wasn't too happy, but yeah, it's something I wouldn't do again, that's for sure.
The little pat on the head, Lionel Messi.
It's just disrespectful to the best player that's ever played this game, and it's just. That's what, like, that game was like in the change room. I've never seen a change room like it. Like, we were so pumped up for the game, and just like, unfortunately, it happened too early, didn't it? He was on the ground, I was on the ground, and I don't know what came over me, but I do regret it. But I suppose it's something that everyone relates to me now, which isn't the best.
You guys say that.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the mindset there then? What was the thinking? I mean, was it just spur of the moment?
If I was thinking, it wouldn't have been done. I wasn't thinking clearly.
That moment, obviously playing against Messi and having so much joy against him. When you go back to the boys in Glasgow and doing well against Lionel Messi, that must be nice chatting to them about that.
Yeah, like seeing New Camp as well. I thought I'd dealt with him as well as I could have. But he walks off with 2 goals, 3-0, and all everyone's talking about is Messi. So my mates don't really work like that. If somebody gets by me once, out of 99 times, they'll focus on the one time they got by me. So I probably get slated for that. 100%.
But good lads.
Yeah, but look, see, when you test yourself against the best, you want to try and come out well, and he is the best player that's played, in my opinion, and directly up against him was tough as it is.
Is there any point when you're up against someone like Messi, like you're a super experienced top flight player, but even for you, is there a point when you get out on the pitch and Oh fuck! It's Messi.
There was, obviously, players get like Messi's been spoken about for years, but when you come up against him, you always think, yeah, it's okay. Like, we're professional footballers, we can. But I think he knocked it by like 2 of our midfielders in the first. It was like early on in the new camp, and he was running directly at me, and I was like, "Oh right, this guy's serious. Fucking hell! Like he's coming at me now." Like the stuff he does with his feet are just frightening. You can't you need to guess at times to defend against him. It's not like
really.
Yeah. I remember he was at the byline at one point, and I thought, he's just playing for a throw in here, like no problem. He's like dinked it inside somehow, and off he went inside of the park and switched the play, and I was like, no other human can do that.
Like, how much guidance does a manager give on dealing with Messi, and what is the sort of kind of advice you've been given? Or do you just deal with it?
Good luck, on you go.
Good luck.
Who would you say? Well, yours is a defender. Who's the best player you've played against?
Oh, it's been a few. I think JT was up there.
Yeah.
Rio. I didn't like playing against the ones that like head through you. One of them like Vidic, and like Skirtle was an animal. I used to try and pull on the ball playing centre half. Always, every time. In the Premier League, who's been your toughest opponent?
When I was at Hull, I played against Hazard when he won the Player of the Year, and he ripped me apart at Stamford Bridge. It's a game I never thought I'd recover from, but luckily I did. Traore this season ripped me apart, to be fair. So,
how fast is he? It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Is he the fastest player?
Oh, easy, without a doubt.
He does it in bursts. I watch him just walk around for a little bit, and I think, he's not having an impact on the game here. They've got to get him off, and then he'll just burn it to the line. You just think, how can you cope with that? There's no defending against it.
Yeah, I think he could give most Premier League defenders a 15-yard start, and he would win the race. Big Virgin him had a great race, to be fair.
That was amazing.
Big Virgin's just got big long legs.
Watching yourself and Trent, it feels like you've sort of changed the game for fullbacks. We've had flying fullbacks in the past, but you and Trent seem to be taking it to a different level.
It's amazing to be of me and Trent. Trent, for me, is probably the best fullback in the world just now. With it's mad to think he's only 21 and he'll just go from strength to strength. And I think a lot of people have said he can play midfield and stuff like that.
Do you think that's a possibility?
I don't want to talk him up too much because he loves thinking he can move into midfield and hand on that, give him pelters for it. But he's technically, more than capable. His range of passing, his awareness, he can do it. Whether he wants to make that move, he'll maybe need to decide at one point. But for what he's doing just now and best in the world at his position, then I don't know why he'd want to change.
5 years ago, you'd asked that question because being a fullback would have been seen by some people as a lesser position than midfield. But the whole point of what you two do is like, why would he want to move into midfield when he's got those assists from there?
I ended up there because I was a failed striker, failed centre midfield winger, and then back to fullback. So, but some people are probably growing up now thinking, I want to be a fullback. We can be involved in the game. We can come from deep, and I think a lot of players have changed that. I think if you look at players just now, you look at the 2 Leicester fullbacks, you look at Man United, Man City. In this league, we have so many attacking fullbacks that are doing so well that it's maybe made it a lot more favourable than maybe it once was.
We're similar in lots of ways. Like, I made the beanpole striker look sexy, and he's making fullbacks look sexy.
It's inspiring. It's inspiring, isn't it? It's a bit like, for too long, the bands have always had the singer is the front man, right? All of a sudden, the drummer is getting all the attention, Everyone wants the drummer all of a sudden, and that's what you're doing for the world of football. Do you think you and Trent are sort of building each other up?
Oh, 100%. We bring the best out in each other, I think. We have, small competitions that doesn't have anything on it, but the fact that we can try and go and, get one over on each other is enough for us. We want to beat each other, but also give the best to the team. And we done it last season. I think in the Premier League, we had joint, 25 assists between us two in the Premier League, like that. To produce the numbers and create goals for the team and the club, then, obviously a healthy competition is proven well for both of us.
I have got one bone to pick with you. I've got to get this off my chest. I was watching one of your games or a couple of your games with my lads. They said, "Daddy, why is he so good?" And I said, "Listen, he's the best one-footed player I've ever seen." And I meant it as a compliment. What they've taken it as is, there's no point in me practicing my other foot. So whenever I'm saying to them, "Come on, use both feet," they just go, "Andy Robertson's the best fullback in the world and he's one-footed."
No, get them working on both feet. I wish I did when I was younger, because that right foot's just for standing on. So
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
So, Andy, you grew up on the Winford estate in Glasgow. You were a Celtic fan. Your favourite player was Henrik Larsson.
I think pretty much anyone in my generation that's a Celtic fan would probably agree. He was insane. He's the closest player we'll probably get to being. I think he was world class. I think you and him would work well together, Crouchy.
Oh, mate, I take that. He worked well with Sutton, didn't he?
Yeah, he worked really well.
For a while.
Yeah, him, Sutton and John Hartson. And that team was good, to be fair. Petrov, Lennon. When they went to the UEFA Cup final, it was mad.
Ever a man didn't deserve to lose a final. That's Henrik Larsson in that final.
2 goals.
2 goals.
Excellent. Yeah, that was just the start of Porto and Jose Mourinho, wasn't it? But yeah, that team was mad.
Do you have something at the back of your mind, like at some stage, would you love to go back there and play?
If you ask me now, like, what do I want to do? I'd want to retire at Liverpool, of course. But like, we know how hard that is to play at that highest of levels until 35, 36 maybe. So, like, I'd love to pull on the Celtic top and walk out in Parkhead and stuff. But you try and move with the times. You do what's right with your family. Do I want to go back at one point to even just live? Then yeah, maybe.
Do you go back a lot?
I try and go back all the time. Obviously, we've still got internationals and stuff. So anytime I do that, I always go home and see family that can't really get down. And I love seeing all my pals and stuff like that. So in terms of community, I've just this coronavirus will hopefully bring one good thing for me anyway. I'm starting up my own charity up in Scotland. I think what we're trying to do is give people a first chance in life instead of second chance. Everyone hears second chance in life, and what about people that maybe haven't had as fair a start to life as others, and we're going to try and intervene with that and try and get them jobs and better education and try and make a difference. If we make a difference to one person, then I'll be happy, of course.
So I'm not sure if you're across this, Robbo, but Parched. And obviously, him being Scottish, I just wanted to hear your opinion on whether you think Parched was a valid nickname.
In fairness, at my debut away to Poland, he was, when I was getting my shin guards on and that, he came up to me and checked if I was okay going on, finding out that he was Parched and stuff. Maybe I don't know if he was just trying to get closer to the manager to get on the pitch or not.
Parched was a belter of a nickname for him.
Who's the parchiest person at Liverpool?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I think it's a Milner, this.
I think Milner's too ruthless to be Parched. He'll be the first out on the training ground, but then he could have a full-on argument with one of the coaches over a warm-up or something. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure. We actually don't have any.
Was it because Klopp is very approachable? He approaches the players. So in a weird kind of turn of events, Klopp is a little bit parched.
I mean, from your thought process, then we'll go with it. Yeah, but if like 4 or 5 of us are having a conversation before training, the gaffer will sometimes come in and join in the conversation, and that that's the kind of guy he is. So maybe that's why we don't have any Parched players in our team.
This is for me. This is the greatest miracle of all with Klopp, that he's created the perfect anti-Parched environment.
Could be his biggest achievement to date.
We've heard Ben Foster recently telling us that he was a chef. What was your job?
Oh mate, it was on the checkouts at M&S. My mates get discounts on Percy Pigs, so they were delighted at that time. I was only 17, 18.
Yeah, but M&S is good. M&S is a classy one. Like, if I remember right, with M&S, you had to pass some sort of different test to Sainsbury's or Tesco's. You were like elite level, Premier League,
You had to do like role-playing stuff, which was well out of my... I don't know how I got the job, actually. I actually worked a couple of shifts in women's lingerie as it comes. They were short on staff and I get flung up there. I don't know how, but yeah.
I think I've had that dream.
Yeah.
You just got to blag it though, haven't you? That's the thing with women's lingerie.
Yeah, you just talk shit to them and hopefully they buy it. That's all you want to do.
So what club are you at when you're doing this?
So I'd have been at Queen's Park then. I wasn't in the first team yet, but I'd have been in the under 19s. It was my last year in school, so it was like I was working night times then weekends. It just got me a bit of money because obviously, end of school holidays and stuff like that was coming. So I had to get on the plane to Malia with my boys.
What was your store manager like? Because I've got an image in my head of Jurgen Klopp being thrown into an M&S in Glasgow. I reckon he'd be an amazing branch manager.
Yeah, I think he'd get the place bouncing anyway. That's for sure. He'd probably be hugging all the staff and all the customers. My store manager was, I can't remember her name, but she was a wee bit older and she was lovely. She was the face of Marks and Spencer's. One of the people that worked for the badge and just love the company. Can't really see the gaffer being in charge of people in there.
Do you know when you were there? When you're like in that job, do you still believe that you're going to play as higher level as you are now?
Like, that was my last year in school, so I was just trying to get through that, and you don't think you're going to be on, go and play for Liverpool, but I still believed I was good enough to play at some level, whatever level that was.
It's a funny age though, isn't it? Because at that point you're getting pressure to make, I suppose, what we'd call like adult life choices. Your mates, I'm sure, were going to uni and stuff like that, right?
I'd asked my mum and dad if I could get a year out, that I would go and try and get a job and really give a last year to becoming a professional footballer. The 6 months before I moved to Dundee United, I applied for university, but I knew that I was kind of going to have full-time contracts at the end of the summer, so I didn't commit to it. But I did apply. I applied to like PE teaching, west of Scotland, I think it was, or something like that. I wasn't interested in it. I was getting forced down it. I hated education. I wasn't good at it.
I've just had a brainwave, right? I'm wondering if the M&S Christmas advert this year, they've missed a trick up to now. It needs to be you back on the tills.
I think this could build a bit of momentum now. I'm starting to feel it. I can see myself being there. Yeah, look, sounds good to me. I'm open to anything, so that's right.
Yeah,
no
back on the till. Come on.
I want to ask you a question, Andy, as well. You as you probably know, we get asked the most random stuff on email. Yeah. So I want to let you into our world. Another Andy has emailed us to ask, which of the following is hardest to do? A hole-in-one, a 9-dart finish, or a 147 in snooker?
I've had a hole-in-one before.
Just drop that one in?
Yeah, I done. Well, to be fair, I'll even drop it more. I'd done it when I was 14. I was a big golfer when I was younger. I loved golf. I played it probably just as much as football. So I've ticked that one off. I think a 147 would be hardest. Too many balls to pot there to get it perfect, I think.
No, but it's about the best professional in that sport being able to do it, right? It's not necessarily about you, how hard it is to achieve.
There are quite a few 147s that you'll get at the Worlds. Hole in one, not that many. 9-dart finishes. I mean, that's probably reversed the order in my head.
Exactly right, because if I put myself in that position there, a 147 is unachievable.
If it's a professional, I'd go with 9-darter.
Yeah, because you would expect a good snooker player to kind of nail.
They could do that. Yeah, doable.
Crouchy, I know you love fancy dress, right? We've talked about fancy dress at the darts. It's the best thing. But actually, how good are you at darts?
I'm bang average, really. I do enjoy the darts. I know you do, Robbo, as well, don't you? I'm into the darts. 2010 World Cup in South Africa, we had a England squad darts evenings. We all had nicknames. Ask Millie about this, Robbo. He knows about this. I was Potent Pete. Yeah, one dart hard. There was a few nicknames. Gareth Barry Bullseye. It's another. But it was basically like lockdown, but in a World Cup. I was called Potent Pete because I would like throw my dart and then I'd like leave like an absolute bomb for the next person on the hockey. That was how I was winning my games because my talent wasn't great, to be honest. Are you any good?
Hopeless. I love watching it. If there's a Scottish person doing well at a sport, you need to take advantage of that. Gary Anderson and Peter Wright, I just enjoy watching them. My brother's stag do's coming up in December and I'm going to try and get him to the Ali Pali, whether I can join.
Bingo. It's the best. Yeah. It is in terms of like sporting events, it's in its own lane because well, it is. But you know what I mean, Masters. It's just no. But the thing is, right? It's just like I've gone to see the snooker, and it's nuts how intensely silent it is. It's almost like you're back in assembly, and any little noise just sets off everyone laughing. But the darts. Turn up in fancy dress, you're there with the boards, you're giving shit to the tables are giving shit to the cheap stands. It's the best night. Plus, I imagine you'll all be in fancy dress for it anyway, so you can just sort of live on, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the best.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Now I'm here as usual to direct you to another podcast on BBC Sounds, and today it's Rugby Union Weekly. Now, I'm a fan of this. I've even been on this myself, but usually it's Ugo Monye.
What's the matter with him?
He's been on. I've noticed this about you. You pop up on every other podcast. Obviously,
Mate,
this is where the money
cycling,
is.
it's rugby.
Why are you on the rugby one?
We've got an open pod relationship. We established this at the start. I don't want you to be jealous. It's just nice to see other people sometimes.
Right. So what's this podcast about?
It's about rugby union. It's weekly. Interviews. There's a quiz. It's on BBC
It
Sounds.
sounds, Robbo, is this for you, would you say, or not going to bother? But you can be honest.
I'm a bit scared of rugby lads, to be fair. They're a bit bigger than us footballers, so I'll watch what I say, but I won't be tuning in, that's for sure.
Download it now from BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.